Hello and welcome to another history online tutorial, and today we're going to be looking at the comparison question and focusing on treatments in the 1900s. So join us for another lesson on some top grade 9 skills. So thank you for joining this interactive lesson. In this lesson, we're going to be going through a question on treatments in the 18 and 1900s for the Health in Britain topic, particularly focusing on the AQA question number 3, the comparing question between two time periods. So this lesson is going to be a bit of an interactive video. You can pause and practice your skills, and then I'll show you an answer and you can self-assess your work. But before we do the question and we sort of develop our top level skills, we need to obviously think about revising our knowledge. So let's do a quick quiz on 1800s and 1900s treatments. So here we are then with our quiz. Now you may want to revise this as we go, and there's two QR codes on there, one to my 1800s information and one to my 1900s information, because obviously we are revising two time periods and we want to compare them. So there are a few questions there on the 1800s treatments and a few questions on 1900s treatments. So maybe have a pause and review those notes and see if you can answer the questions. It's a nice active revision task. You're actively looking for answers while revising your notes. Okay, so pause and give that a go. Okay, otherwise, here are the answers. So, who was the small boy who used Edward Jenner's smallpox experiments? So, James Phipps, one of the many children used in experiments, as we seem to have noticed in this course. Not much sort of moral fibre around the use of children in experiments in this time period. So, James Phipps is the famous child who used in the Edward Jenner experiment, but obviously other children were used to make sure. In which year did Jenner gain British government funding for his vaccination clinic? 1802. Which industry funded Pasteur to investigate their product going bad? Of course, it was wine. I think sometimes I see beer, sometimes written in some notes, but pretty sure it's wine industry. Which year did Pasteur publish his germ theory? 1861. Important book, important moment, and obviously influences surgery and treatments. He suggests in his book, of course, that that the bacteria may affect the body and make it go bad, and that led to Koch proving that bacteria cause disease in 1876, with his proving that anthrax was caused by a bacteria. Obviously, Koch was working in the countryside, a bit like Pasteur was to some extent when Pasteur discovered some of his vaccinations, and this helped him discover anthrax. Which disease did Pasteur scientists luckily discover a vaccine for? The second ever vaccine, that was chicken cholera. They went on holiday and came back and found they'd weakened the bacteria enough that they could use it as a vaccine. Name two types of magic bullet, Pronsil and Salvarsan 606. So going into the 1900s now, drugs that could kill particular diseases. Who discovered penicillin? Published an article in the Lancet magazine, Alexander Fleming. Then who did the legwork? I'm afraid Alexander. The main people who did all the hard work really was Florian Chain, turning that into a drug that could be used during the Second World War, and named the first human trial of penicillin was Albert Alexander. So hopefully you've managed to revise your knowledge successfully. You've got lots of ideas to help you compare for our grade 9 skills next. So here we are with our question number 3 from the AQA exam, the comparison question, as I call it. So it says, explain two ways the work of Louis Pasteur was similar to that of Alexander Fleming. So it's 8 marks. So what do you think you need to do to be successful in this question? Have a think, pause if you like, and come up with some ideas about the skills you think you need to show to be successful in this question. Right. So pause, give it a go. Right, here's my ideas then. So things to be successful. Obviously, focus on the topic you are given. This particular answer must discuss treatments, for instance. There's no point discussing surgery or public health. Pasteur, Fleming, not particularly famous for those. So you need to discuss those ideas. Give clear points on why the times or people are similar. So some really clear points needed on their similarities. Give clear examples. And as we'll see later in the writing frame, use connectors like similarly. So you give an example from each person or time. Explain why they are similar. So it's a why question, explain tends to mean why. So why are they similar? What is it about the time period that's similar? Maybe you're going to talk about some similar factors about the time period and make them similar. Link to a wider similarity, maybe wider people and places and that might make them similar as well. Explain in this Peel paragraph. And 8 marks suggestion you do this twice. So you can, on the exam paper, do a bit of planning about this. You can come up with some ideas. So think about sort of brain dumping your ideas you've got about Pasteur and Fleming, and then you can come up with a bit of a plan, see if there's similarities between them, maybe factors that are similar, those sorts of things. So over to you then. Pause and just maybe make a note of some ideas that you could use to help find some similarities. Right, so here's my ideas. So Pasteur then, he experimented to prove bacteria cause decay and not spontaneous generation. Pasteur wrote germ theory in 1861, suggests that bacteria may cause disease for humans. This led to Koch's discoveries, of course, that bacteria cause disease. Luck helped Pasteur develop the second level vaccine for chicken cholera. Luck helped Fleming when penicillin landed on his petri dish. Fleming led experiments with penicillin and found that it killed many types of bacteria. And Fleming published an article in the Lancet magazine that then Florian Chain developed further. So there's some similarities here. So have a look over the screen there. Are there some similarities? I think there are. And obviously I've worded them in such a way that you can find the similarities as well. It gives you a bit of a help. So here are the similarities. Both of them rely on luck. Both of them did experiments. And both of them wrote something that somebody else then improved. All right, so there's some obvious similarities there, really. Factors help, communication of books, luck, experimentations. I think factors are often the best ways of coming to terms with this question, the key factors that you're taught in the topic. So how are we going to write this then? Obviously, here's our writing frame. One way the work of Louis Pasteur and Fleming was similar was because, explain your answer. For example, Pasteur did this, similarly, Fleming did this. These are similar because, and explain why they're similar. And then you can do a furthermore, explaining why they're similar in more depth for the top level answers. So let's go through this. And again, you can pause and you can try and write your own. Okay, if it's different to mine, that's fine. Just we're trying to do the high level skills. We're trying to do the skill is the main thing, not necessarily is it a right or wrong answer in the content. It's the skill you're going to be judged on by your examiner. So one way the work of Pasteur was similar to Fleming was that, okay, so give a way it's similar. Maybe it is they're both lucky. Maybe it's they both wrote books that other people improved upon. Those are the ideas we had in our plan. So finish your first sentence, pause and give it a go. Okay, here's my first sentence, was they're both lucky. I didn't do much to finish that sentence, did I? So, for example, so now we need an example, each of them being lucky. Try and use that word similarly to draw out the luck idea. So pause and give it a go. If you're doing a different idea, that's fine. Give your examples. So, for example, Pasteur was lucky with the discovery of chicken cholera, and similarly, Fleming was lucky with the discovery of penicillin. I've not gone into much depth there because I'm going to explain the depth when I obviously do my next step. So I don't want to give lots of content in the evidence and then I'm repeating myself in explanation, or I feel, oh my God, I can't write that twice. Okay, and you end up crossing things out. So this means they are similar because now think about the factor, think about the similarity in a bit more depth and see if you can explain why they're similar. Give more depth to the stories about them. So pause and give that a go, looking for about 2 sentences. All right, so here's my ideas. This means they are lucky because Pasteur was lucky when he left chicken cholera exposed to the air when he went on holiday. This led to a weakening of the bacteria that then made it a successful vaccine. Okay, so I've just explained the story in a bit more depth. Whereas Fleming was lucky as he left dishes of bacteria out exposed to the air, which penicillin landed on. He returned and he was able to realise that penicillin killed bacteria. Okay, quite a simple idea, yeah? Quite simple just to know the story and be able to explain it. So can we come up with a second idea, furthermore, about this? Okay, so a wider time maybe, take this further step in time, further step with different people perhaps. Maybe I could link to the other people who then use this luck to make further discoveries maybe. So furthermore, this luck led to the similarity of a great discovery. treat diseases. Pasteur realized how to make vaccines by weakening viruses and bacteria. Similarly, Fleming had discovered a drug that could kill all bacteria or infections. So I've linked to further in time. The significance of these discoveries over time is that basically Pasteur has invented how to make vaccines to solve viruses, and Fleming has discovered the panacea, the drug that kills all bacteria, for the future as well. So I could develop that a bit more to talk about the huge significance of their discoveries by their pure luck. So hopefully that wasn't too bad. It's a bit difficult to think about the link, but the point evidence explained. And if you can do that twice, you'll get 6 marks. So, that's going to get you towards a grade 7 or 8. Consistently do that. So now see if you can give a go with the second paragraph. So over to you. Have a think about one of those other ideas. Maybe it's communication and the work. Other people then finish their work. Maybe it's their experiments they did. Have a go at a second idea. So hopefully you've now got some excellent comparison skills, and you can compare across those time periods. You revise your knowledge really successfully. Do subscribe, and there's more videos on the way. Bye bye for now.